Video games are great. You can do anything in a video game, and a video game can be anything. Big blockbuster AAA games really like to tend towards movies. They're telling a heart-something story with important characters, big emotional beats, and production that's trying to match the definition of the word prestige. Every time Hideo Kojima does more than breathe, someone always says, look at this dude, he just wants to make movies. And he probably does want to make movies. He probably just wants to make video games too. So he does both at the same time, and people really love it, I think. I don't know, I've never been a movie gal, I don't play them. While I'm not a nerd about most music either, I tend to gravitate towards it more than any other pre-gaming medium. And as a gamer, it makes sense that I would try to make it all about gaming. So here we are. Let's talk about video games that are also music albums. When I say video games that are also music albums, I hope it's clear that I'm not just talking about games with good soundtracks. Those are plentiful. You could probably find a cartridge under a rock that qualifies for that. Oh hey, look under here. It's Pictionary for the NES. How odd is that? Let's learn by example. And the first one I thought of may also be the best to lead off with just because of how ubiquitous it is. This was a breakout smash hit for its developer, a Game of the Year candidate and winner in some cases, a transcendent audiovisual experience that makes me tear up every time I give it a spin. And it's also Tetris. Yes! Let's fucking go! Tetris Effect is a perfect fit for video game that's also an album. It's a somewhat cohesive set of tracks, played in a specific order, with its emotional beats being matched by the pace of the gameplay. It's a full-on LP. Oh boy, does it have emotional beats! Come follow me. The bookend stages, the Deep and Metamorphosis, always get me emotional. I have no idea what it is about them, but something just gets to me in a way that most media doesn't do. Downtown Jazz is heavily evocative of the reasons why I like big cities so much, without saying a single word about them, in ways that I can't put into words either. Ritual Passion and Spirit Canyon put such phenomenal emotion behind the fact that they're jacking up the speed of the game. The fact that there's any way to make me feel emotive about Tetris being slightly faster in a guideline game is absolutely incredible, because that shit means absolutely nothing when you're a gamer like me. Tetris Effect perfectly captures what my addled brain means when I say album game. It's so entirely tuned to its track-by-track emotional story from front to back. And it does have a story, it's actually about childbirth. Tetris Effect was weirdly blindsiding to a lot of people, and while I didn't expect it either, it actually makes perfect sense if you look at the guy behind it, Tetsuya Mitsuguchi. This dude is legendary for this kind of thing. He was doing this shit back in 2004. Hell, he was doing it back in 2001. Fuck it, 1999! Mizuguchi's production work at Sega, Q Entertainment, and now Enhance is full of this kind of stuff. Space Channel 5, Luminous, the PSP Gunpei game that lasts 4 hours in a single run for some reason, E3 and E4, not the video game conference that doesn't exist anymore, I'm talking about this thing you've probably never heard of. Fucking Child of Eden is literally just a Genki Rockets album in video game form. Mizuguchi is the brains behind Genki Rockets. He literally Simon Fuller and S Club 7 this shit together. Obviously, Mizuguchi isn't the only person making games that are albums. When I had the idea for this video, I made sure to ask around about this concept so I didn't miss any obvious standouts. I can't be the dumbass making things about shit she doesn't know about, or at least I gotta try not to be that person. I got a lot of answers. Across everything, I heard one name more than any other. Sayonara Wild Hearts. When I saw on the Steam store page that it calls itself a pop album, I was ecstatic. And it delivered? I think it's more of an electro synth kind of situation. You know, on that Human League shit. Maybe not that. For real though, this game is fantastic. I have a lot of small complaints, but I would absolutely recommend it. It basically lands the same thing that Tetris Effect does, a cohesive set of tracks played in a specific order with its emotional beats being matched by the pace of the gameplay. It's also got this really sleek visual style and this tarot card theming and Queen Latifah as narrator and a plot that I can't exactly follow, but it's almost definitely an allegory for being transgender. Hey, that's where I'm from. The gameplay for the most part is this racing sort of situation where you gotta move side to side and collect hearts and avoid obstacles, and there's QTE style rhythm game notes at certain parts of the stage depending on what you're doing. It has the vibe of a rhythm game, but it's not entirely a rhythm game. But that's not all. There's somehow even more. But wait, there's more! Billy Mays! In an incredibly unexpected Deus Ex Machina, a couple bits of the gameplay and the later parts of the video game are very similar to other video games I want to mention in this video about games. The fifth section of the video game basically has you just play Rez between driving segments, which rocks and more games should do this. Rez is a very stylish arcadey shooter that's also an EP in its own right. The sound effects for when your shots connect pair with the music perfectly to the point where they're basically part of it. And hey, Rez was produced by that guy from earlier that also produced all the other album games I mentioned, like the 4-hour Gunpei game. How cool is that? Sayonara Wild Hearts doesn't quite do that with the sound effects, but it does do other things, like have a different gameplay section that's almost, but not quite Bit Trip Void. Bit Trip is fucking weird. Most people know it for the Runner games. I'm pretty sure my mom beat the original on Wii, so Bit Trip Runner, it's a game for the people. And I think many people would be surprised by me saying that that's the worst part of this series. It's also the only part that I don't think meets my requirement for being an album game. The 5 other games in the series, Beat, Core, Void, Fate, and Flux, are EPs that also feel like rhythm games, but definitely aren't. Beats and Flux, the bookends of the main series, are both Pong likes, where you hit these beats that have interesting patterns of behavior. Core is kind of like that, but instead of hitting a specific spot on one axis, you just gotta time your inputs across 4 axes. Fate is, you're supposed to, yeah, I don't get this one. Void is the one I mentioned first, and it's the best in my opinion. It starts insanely simple. Move around the board, get these dots, and avoid these dots. However, when you collect these dots, you grow larger, making movement slower and dodging these dots difficult. And that's where the secret sauce shows up, another button. Pressing A resets your size. Depending on how large you were, you get an amount of points over time, and an extra track is added to the music while you receive those points. In addition to the collection of these dots, sounding like the melody of the song, it's kind of this whole integrated musical experience, as if that's not the point of this entire video. The entire Bit Trip series does this musical integration, but I like the way Void does it the best, I also like the gameplay the best, and I think the actual beats used for the music are the best, and I've played it the most. But the whole series is like this, and it's very pixely, and it's got this whole tier system that's fun, and a weird story through line that I don't get, and I'd recommend it pretty heartily. Runner is less important. I don't know. You can just play Geometry Dash. It's the same experience. Okay, but what's the point? Why do the other games count but Runner doesn't? What excludes a game from being an album game? Is it just this music interaction nonsense or what? Why, my good friend? That's a fantastic question, and to be honest, I've had a hard time figuring it out myself. Here is what I've come up with. An album is a collection of music released as a single product that usually has a consistent theme or through line and is meant to be listened to in the order that it's placed in. It doesn't have to be a full-on story, but the story order is part of the experience. Therefore, an album game must be in part a musical experience and have that music be placed in a specific order as its through line for the game progression. And I did not read that from a book. This is Just Dance 2023 edition. Let's apply this to the Bit Trip series. The 5 games I identified as counting as album games each have 3 tracks placed in a specific order, identified by their levels. Each of these tracks is technically split into segments, but these segments are just checkpoints for gameplay purposes. They're not actually part of the song. Runner takes this checkpoint idea and actually splits its levels into sets of 12. Rather than level 1, you have level 1-1, level 1-2, and so on. This in itself isn't disqualifying, but the following is. In a specific world, all the odd levels share a background song, and all the even levels share a background song. Albums don't repeat the same track over and over, but Bit Trip Runner does. That's entirely disqualifying by my standards. It's worth mentioning that menu systems don't count. Tetris Effect splits its album into chunks that puts you at a menu with this ambiance behind it once you finish. This ambiance is technically a repeated song, but it doesn't count as a track because in function, it's much closer to the person listening to the album pausing it to grab like a bottle of water or something. It's for ergonomics. It's a quality of life feature. That 4-hour Gunpei game I mentioned, it doesn't do that. It's 4 hours long because that's how long it is. You're gonna wish it had you take breaks. But hold on, let's take this in a different direction. Do rhythm games count? They've got music that you experience through gameplay. As it turns out, it depends on the game. As an example, Thumper is a rhythm game that absolutely meets the definition. Its 9 levels are in a specific order, and that's the order you play it in. Album. Thumper is also fantastic and weirdly dark, and I definitely recommend it. However, something like Dance Dance Revolution doesn't count at all. You play those songs in whatever order your lovely little heart desires, baby. Hate that I said that. Arcade DDR is a lot closer to being a karaoke machine, and playing at home is like loading up a YouTube video with the title Bare Naked Ladies 1 Week Lyrics. Anyway, this definition we've built up is very easy to apply to things. Metal Hellsinger is an album game as you shoot the bullets to the rhythm and each level uses a unique song. Mario Kart World has fantastic music, but you don't interact with it and a lot of it isn't tied to specific levels, so it's not an album game. Sound Shapes is an album game as each of its levels is a specific song and the collectibles add to the music. Mixolumia isn't an album game as, while it has the music interaction aspect down, it's more of an MP3 player. You just pick a song and go for it. 140 is an album game as the levels each have a specific song, and while you don't necessarily interact with the music, it certainly interacts with you. Sega Tetris, for the Dreamcast, isn't an album game because while it has a specific set of songs with a notable through line, there's not really any interaction with the music, and all I can hear are the peace claims anyway. I can't hear anything else. Why are they so loud? Just Shapes and Beats is an album game because it shapes the gameplay around the beats, and has a specific story that uses licensed music not created by the development team. Wait, that feels like it shouldn't count somehow. We're in thorny territory all of a sudden, folks. I have to make a clarification that will almost certainly make people upset. Is there a meaningful difference between a traditional album and a mixtape when it comes to the definition of album game? For another specific example of this, let's talk about Pictobits for a minute. Art style Pictobits is an action puzzle game where you gotta match these falling tiles with these pixels to make rectangles of 4 or more. As you work on doing that, an NES sprite at the top of the screen is slowly built until you have Mario, or the pterodactyls from Ice Climbers, or whatever's going on in Devil World. The game gets a lot of its charm from the audio design. As you chip away at the sprite, the music slowly goes from an incredibly sparse bass line to the entirety of a track from the sprite source game. And when you make matches, you get these little beep boops that match the key of the song. Music interaction. And the order of the levels is very well chosen, giving these songs a through line. It's an album game. But while it counts on a technical level, it doesn't feel right. These songs are from other games, other sources. It's not an LP from an artist you love, it's a mixtape made by somebody who enjoyed the music for you. And this gets weirder because while Pictobits feels wrong for me to call an album game, Luminescent Electronic Symphony does the same thing by using separately released music, this time from regular music released regularly, and that feels like it absolutely counts as an album game, no questions asked. I think at the end of the day, this album game dedication is like all genres. It's vibes based. What makes the difference between a roguelike and a roguelite? What makes something puzzle instead of strategy, even though puzzles require strategy? Why did anyone decide that front slop is a term that people should take seriously in any context? It's just the vibe that the general video game audience and tastemakers have landed on.
This week's question comes from Spencer Gifts, who asks, should Zelda-style games be called adventure games, or should point-and-click games be called adventure games?
Oh no.
I don't care.
So when I say that Just Shapes and Beats isn't an album game because it has the vibe of being a story someone decided to write based on their Spotify playlist titled Epic Dance Music, that's a vibes-based decision you don't have to agree with. And to be honest, all of this nonsense that I wrote in Comic Sans and said at you is really just to say I enjoy this form factor video game, and I think it deserves to be recognized as a thing that not only exists, but is worth oversaturating. There's no deeper story here. I just need C-tier development companies and bored indie devs to start making Tetris Effect clones as soon as they possibly can, and this is the only place I have to try to make that happen. Thanks for watching. Shoutouts to everyone who suggested possible album games so I had the material to make a video on. Also, big shouts to Nakey Jakey, whose video format I am blatantly stealing here. I look forward to the cease and desist. Keep it going, big man. You're doing good work.